Are you doing anything to help reduce your carbon footprint?
Recycling waste.
Recycling.
It's post-recycling and things.
Recycling.
Recycling is important. We need to divert waste away from landfill or maybe even being burnt. And recycling can feel good. It feels like you're doing something constructive. You're sorting your waste, you're putting it in the green bin, you're separating your tins and paper from your perishables. But it can only be a part of the solution. It's like the idea that, not accepting a plastic straw, using a paper straw rather than plastic. Well, it will do something, but in the larger collective challenge that we've got around plastics pollution, it's obviously insufficient.
The carbon impact of recycling is quite small. If someone thinks, oh, I do my recycling, therefore I can take this long haul flight on holiday, the carbon impact of the flight hugely, vastly, incomprehensibly outweighs the saving you might make from recycling. So recycling is really good as a behaviour change activity, but really we can't use it as an excuse to not do something else or think that it's enough, because it absolutely is not enough.
The most important thing that people can do to reduce their climate impacts is to reduce consumption. That's not just consumption of energy, so going from a gas central heating system, let's say, to a heat pump, which is good, and because it's a lot more efficient and it produces fewer greenhouse gas emissions. But just the sheer amount of goods and services that we consume is unavoidably linked to greenhouse gas emissions, like CO2 emissions. So basically, recycle, yes. The first thing we should be thinking about is just reducing the amount of stuff that we consume. Fast fashion is a good example. The idea that we might buy some clothing and then wear it once and throw it away produces a vast amount of pollution. It produces pollution of CO2 in the manufacture, and then also the pollution of the textiles and the fabrics, as that is essentially thrown away.
Recycling is still quite energy intensive. It still requires a lot of fresh materials to be created. Also, if we just use less, it cuts out a huge part of that problem. If we don't consume as much, we don't waste as much in the first place. Because the whole idea of waste doesn't make a lot of sense. You never really throw anything away. It doesn't just disappear. It always goes somewhere. And that impact that we have is always going to exist until we don't use the thing in the first place.
Recycling does help, but not nearly as much as most of us think it does. We shouldn't stop recycling, but we could help the climate crisis much more by buying less.